Hi, welcome back. This is Stupid Coffee. My name is Zachary, Jalal, and if you've never been here before, Stupid Coffee is about interviewing artists who are working hourly jobs and how they manage time between work, their relationships, and art. I have an artist who is an actor, my friend Lance Bush, and without further ado, Lance Bush, people. Welcome to Stupid Coffee. This is going to be a place where artists talk about how they maintain their lifestyle in an hourly job in the service industry, and how they live their lives in a big city and navigate through life. So yeah, today I got an artist, Lance Bush. Is that correct?
Lance D. Bush.
Lance D. Bush.
Yeah, Lance Bush works.
What is the D?
So funny enough, I was talking with one of my acting advisors, and she was like, "What does the D stand for? I forgot to put it in your letter of recommendation." And I was like, "Oh, it stands for Darnell." And she goes,
"Oh,
maybe you should use the whole name." And I was like, "What, like Lance Darnell Bush?" She was like, "Yeah."
That's
like,
cool.
It takes some of the sting off of the Bush.
Oh wow! I thought she was gonna compliment your middle name. That middle name is pretty.
The middle name was a compliment too, but yeah.
The middle name is really cool.
Yeah. I don't know. Something to think about.
So today's coffee is from this place called Land to Sea, which is in Williamsburg, kind of in between Williamsburg and Greenport Point.
Nice. Okay.
And a local place. They kind of have a space for artists, so they collaborate with. They have a little space in the back where you can collaborate and do, I guess, showing of art or stuff like that. Yeah, you can check out their website. It's pretty cool. Local mom and pop, and you know how we like local. So yeah, check them out. Land to Sea. And
thank you.
Yeah. So
I have to get out to Brooklyn more. So,
yeah, I know, right?
I have to.
This blend is a mixture. It's their house blend. It's a mixture of Ecuador, Peru, and Brazil. So a lot of those like candy notes, dark, chocolatey, nutty. So very tasty.
I have to get out to South America more too.
Yeah, same here. To go visit actually. But yeah, so you're a performing arts actor.
Arts. Yeah, I mean it's weird. I mean as a mixed martial artist.
Mixed martial arts, the Black Ranger, Lance Bush. Lance Bush is a clean striker as well. Controls distance so well with that foot. 5'8" Lance Bush at 6'2".
That could make a big difference for Lance.
From Los Angeles, California, Lance Black Ranger Bush. Corner, it starts here.
3 minutes doesn't sound that long, but that extra minute in these fights can make a huge difference if they even get there.
Aaron throwing lots of power, Lance Bush. Very accurate.
Wow.
Look at that. Bush now, letting loose with some fire. Lance Bush. A little more room there.
There's a little bit more room in that triangle, but Ron's in trouble. Ron's in trouble. He's out, he's out.
Lance Black Ranger Bush.
And martial artists, performing arts is probably like the thing that would get centered. I think maybe some fighters would cringe if they heard fighting and like performing arts situated with each other, but we all grew up loving like insert any like martial arts movie, etc. So like, those things they're akin to each other. I think, for sure.
And you're I guess I would say striving artist in New York City. I feel like I think you've been doing like commercials
and pimento cheese sandwiches.
You do plays as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's talk about like how you started off getting into. I guess like what is the main thing that you kind of want to focus on? Like, what do you want to be like as an artist?
I think that as a 35, and a lot of people in this industry get to a place where they knew that they wanted to act kind of early on. Mm-hmm. And I'm painting with a wide brush. Yeah. But I think that's a lot of times what happens. So they'll find it in high school, and then they'll have a career that takes them to college, and they do the MFA program. So it's like kind of like a step thing. And for me, I didn't have great proximity to the theater.
Okay.
So I didn't really have guidance to actor training early on, and it wasn't something that was It wasn't something that was like I wasn't held back from doing it.
Yeah.
But I wasn't like close to a place to where I was like, oh, okay, I can just step into this and kind of pursue it. So I loved watching films and loved watching TV shows and stuff like that. Yeah, I think it took martial arts for me to kind of get the confidence to recognize, oh, these are the other things in my life that I care about.
Oh, okay.
And then took that and then started really stepping into actor training.
Yeah, fair. So
pursuing it.
Talking about stepping,
yeah.
what are the timelines right now? MMA?
MMA, yeah.
You did MMA first and then became an actor, or
yeah.
how did it?
I mean, so, and that's the weird thing, like became an actor, right?
Yeah.
Because we as adults, we have these titles that we have to affix to things. So, yeah, I think of it in terms of like intention. When did I start intentionally trying to pursue acting? Definitely not until I started doing martial arts, if we want to look at it like chronologically.
Oh, okay,
So I started doing martial arts after my first stint with college ended.
What did you study before that?
I was in junior college and I wanted to be a personal trainer, like an athletic trainer.
Oh, okay.
Work with injured athletes.
Yeah.
I was running track at the time and I was like always injured.
Oh, wow.
So I was spending time in the training room and kind of seeing how that environment looked. Like, wow, these people are in service to these athletes, helping them get recovered so that they can go back and compete. And I was in college kind of spinning my wheels, not sure what I wanted to do, and then started finding that those courses aligned with me.
Okay.
And then I fell out of that.
Yeah.
And stopped going to school to start working full time. And it was the first time that I wasn't competing or doing something active, and found some guys and they were doing jiu-jitsu. And I had watched like a couple UFC fights and stuff like that, always been kind of martial arts oriented. I took like Taekwondo for a little bit when I was younger, took like boxing for a little bit when I was younger. But as a young man, I think I was 22 at this time, 23.
Oh, wow, okay.
Started doing jiu-jitsu, fell in love with that, met a Muay Thai coach through that, and then just kind of like one thing after the other.
Yeah.
I found that there was a different level of intention required with martial arts. I don't know what it was, but it was kind of like a moment, you know?
Okay.
It's where I was like, okay, like you really have to dedicate yourself to this.
Yeah.
And through that practice, I found myself legitimately. Like I was like, oh, okay, this is what it means to work at something. Oh, this is what it means to show up every day. This is what it means to X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
And I think that intention just kind of really opened up the world for me. I started it changed how I saw everything else. So then it's like, oh, okay, let's see how far I can take this.
Yeah.
And even though I was still working full time, I was working security. We talked about security lifestyle and stuff. I had like a full-time job and whatnot, but I was also still successful in like a kickboxing and amateur MMA career. And then that turned into a pro career.
And this is where again?
This is all in Los Angeles.
This is all in LA, okay.
It's all in LA. An acting opportunity just kind of like fell in my lap. My partner, Sophie, that I'm dating, and we'd been together for not that long, honestly, at the time. She had a pretty successful career already as far as academics was concerned. She did her undergrad here in New York, had done a lot of performing arts stuff, and then was doing a successful web series in LA. Offered me an opportunity to do that. And just that experience of getting to be on set, I was like, oh, like, you do love this.
Oh, wow.
You love viewing it, sure.
Yeah.
But like, this is something you want to do.
Wow.
And it's something that was maybe closeted. Maybe I didn't feel
the confidence to do it.
Yeah, the confidence to do it.
Like,
I will
this is
continue
fake.
to
I'm
lean
not
into
a real. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, just being transparent. Also, like as a black man in high school, growing up in the '90s, we're the same age. So like, that bravado, that hyper masculine kind of like way that you were supposed to be. Didn't align with like wanting to be an actor. And we love our celebrities. We do. We love our entertainers, but it make it kind of difficult to navigate that space. And I mean, maybe I just made it difficult for myself to navigate that space. I didn't have the confidence to kind of quell any of the things that I would want to attack the way that you're supposed to dress or the sports you're supposed to play or the music you listen to, et cetera. And theater falls into that. And martial arts gave me the confidence to kind of bulletproof myself to all of that and follow what I want to do. Yeah. And never kind of look back after that. From that time, I think it was like on 2018 when that film opportunity came up. I got another opportunity to do a short film after that. And there's like a couple of little opportunities. I started going to scene study programs, and
Oh, wow.
then I was juggling this life of doing martial arts and doing acting, and COVID came,
Oh man.
and it forced my hand.
Yeah.
Because no martial arts things were taking place. Like all fights got closed off, all gyms got closed off. So for the first time in my adult life, I was unemployed. I've had a job every day since I was like 15. So I was always like doing school and work, or sports and work.
So you're used to basically,
used to the duality of
your
it.
brain
you
is
know?
sort of like, yeah, this is pretty much what I do.
Right. So with this opportunity of COVID, I was like, what do I do now? So let's go back to school.
Yeah.
So I sold all my shit in Los Angeles, moved in with my parents in Texas, started going to school online. I found the new school, which was based here, online. And one day while going to the new school, I feel like it just clicked. I was like, oh wait, at one point, COVID's gonna end.
Yeah.
And we're gonna be back in person.
Yeah.
And the new school is based here in New York.
Of course.
I was like, let's make that happen.
Yeah. So
so
you
I had
packed your
1 year-
bags,
I
right?
packed my bags and came to New York. Moved here with my partner Sophie, the same one that gave me the first opportunity.
First opportunity, the glimpse of being an actor.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Yeah.
I owe her a lot in terms of just like,
Thanks, Sophie.
thank you, Sophie. Because there was a vision there too, and a support there that was really appreciated too, and like also familial. Like none of this is, a lot of this I build in my mind to say like, I'm grateful for like opening up and like letting myself do these things.
Yeah.
But I also had support when it was vital.
Really
you know?
needed, yeah. Let's talk about like timeline. I guess like you were saying that you started visualizing that you can make this a career in a way, as like being an actor. And
Bro, even just like an interest. I think that was maybe more of it, because I think that sometimes you can get a person can get like, there's ego in that a little bit. It's like, oh, I can get all of these things. Well, it's like, well, first you got to be good, right? So how do I get better?
Yeah.
And I think that mentality definitely comes from martial arts, because, you know, you show up to martial arts practice one day and you're like, you've never done this before. And you're like, I want to spar. It's like, well, calm down, man. Like, let's learn how to throw a punch first, you know? And I think that a big misconception in acting, in entertainment, is like, oh, I can just do this. And like, sometimes people are lucky enough to just kind of get an opportunity and their career takes off, and that's dope.
Yeah.
Good for them. But for me, I felt like I knew, I don't know what I'm doing. that was real.
For sure.
I was on set and I was like, okay, I know I love this. Okay, I feel attached to this. I feel like, you know, I want to tell this story, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
But there are tools to be able to do this better. It's a craft. How do I make this craft better? I need to seek out these places, these people to help grow this thing if I really want to do it, right? And I endlessly align martial arts and the performing arts and acting, because I think that they're one and the same. In martial arts, there's a sentiment that is like, you're forever a white belt, which means you never stop learning. Yeah. And I truly feel that way as an actor. I mean, like, I haven't been doing this for 30 years. I've been living for 35 years, and you get a lot of experience through that, and that life experience helps you in telling stories. But in terms of building a craft, I've only been doing that for like 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
And I don't carry that as like a woe is me thing. I look at that as like excitement. Like, okay, cool, look at what I've done. How do I keep building on that? So I don't know. I don't even remember the question now. I've
no, it's great. You kind of got
that
you got a bunch on there. I was gonna say that like this is amazing, because I know that it's gonna be really tough for you, because you know like I took a bachelor's in like advertising before, you know, and then I jumped back to passion for music. Yeah. But so for you, I can see that like you never even like, you didn't even study like going like to acting school. Like, did you have theater before, or musical theater? Or anything?
So interestingly enough, man, in high school I would always take a theater course.
Oh, okay. So you did have a little.
So, but I, without the confidence, kind of like, I guess, aware of societal kind of like expectations and not having the confidence to kind of like overcome those, I would use excuses to not do performances. So like I played sports, so I'd be like, yeah, I'll take this theater class or this improv class.
Yeah.
But like, no, I don't want to sign up for a performance. I got like this hockey thing, or I got like this basketball thing. So I can't do that.
For sure. Yeah, you were
and
like,
it's weird because I don't even know if I was consciously doing it.
like
but now looking back,
self-sabotaging,
unpacking that self-sabotaging.
Yeah, you're like young. You're just like,
So like, I don't even. All that's so long ago. It's minimal anyway.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter.
yeah.
Moving forward, once I had those experiences, I did start to invest more in acting opportunities, anything that I could learn from. So I'd pick up a book, start reading it. I never read growing up. Going to scene study classes while in LA, just again, kind of making this up on my own because I didn't have that academic structure. So I'm trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
Like, where do we go? How do I continue this actor training, you know, grow this actor training, start this actor training?
It's funny because you kind of have that like fire like an 18-year-old has.
Yeah, man.
Because you're just like finding out like, oh my God, there's a whole new world that I'm into.
I feel like that keeps me, feels weird to say keeps me young because I don't feel old. We put these,
I don't
throw
think
this number out there
still,
and it's like, oh, that guy's this. But like, 35, I could care less. Like,
don't even feel it.
Don't even feel it, man. I
feel still like, I don't know, I still feel pretty young. I feel
pretty young, man.
Yeah, I think working out and everything works that way. And just eating healthy diets.
Also, like, and there's no disrespect to anyone from the generation when we were growing up, but like, what did 35 look like when we were kids?
Oh, man.
Bro, it was, you were like, damn, it's going to suck when we get to be 30. Like, nah, man, I put it in martial arts terms, I feel like 35-year-old me would kick 25-year-old me. So it's
honestly, like, lifestyle, eating appropriately, like, my brother's like 10 years above me, so he's in a different area.
Yeah.
Or like, I guess not a millennial. So yeah, he's like, his friends, all of them, like, you know, sodas all the time, you know, that's like a normal, like a very American, you know, it's just fine, but like, it definitely takes a toll on your body over time.
And we're growing and learning too. I mean, like, I, you know, don't eat perfect or don't have perfect habits, but it's the intention of trying to like be conscious of making that better. Like, how does this affect me? Okay, let's not do that anymore. Speaking of that, like, so when you went to LA, where are you originally from, actually? I was born in LA.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was born in LA. So my parents are from South Central. So like my mom.
Whoa, did not know this.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So it's weird, man. So my parents both migrated from the South. Like their families are from Alabama and Texas, respectively. And for different reasons, because of just like what Jim Crow South was in the 60s, their families fled the South and restarted their lives in Los Angeles. And it's weird because I was born in 1987. The Rodney King riots happened in 1992, and they affected Los Angeles in obviously a terrible way. And my parents were like, let's get out of LA. Let's find greater opportunities. You know, the 80s crack epidemic and what it did to Los Angeles. They're just seeing all this destruction and violence around them. And now they have a young son. So they're like, let's get out of here and figure something else out. So from that point, we moved around a lot. We moved from LA to New Jersey when I was 5. Moved from New Jersey to Texas, where my mom had family.
Oh, wow, okay.
And then back to New Jersey. And then back to Texas. And then I graduated high school in Dallas, Texas, and moved back to LA at 18.
Wow.
And then from 18 until COVID, I was in LA.
Yeah.
For conversation, I always just say I'm from LA because it makes it easier.
Yeah, it's so many.
And if you look at all my years, if it was a pie chart, I spent the most in LA.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I spent a lot of time in Dallas and about 4 years in New Jersey.
What is your college? Did you have a degree before, like 18?
No. So I graduated high school in Texas. I went to school for a semester there, moved to LA, and just kind of helped my parents, helped my brother get acclimated with school and stuff.
Yeah.
Took a couple years off from school and was just trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I just knew I needed to get out of Texas. So like when the opportunity came for my parents to move, I just didn't want to stay in the same place. I had family in LA, and it just kind of, in my mind, even at 18 with no direction, gave me a mindset of like, okay, this could be a fresh start. Let's see what it is. And then went to LA and didn't do anything.
I mean, you got out of the place that you were. That's probably the hardest thing to do. Like most people just like stay at home, or like it's just comforting. You know, you took a chance to see what it would be like without that support. And I think that's for people out there, like that's like one hard thing to do. That first step, just get somewhere else, and then
I was
on.
terrified. Yeah, get somewhere else. I was terrified of like, even though we moved around a lot, I felt like I didn't do any of that like on my own volition. You know, that was kind of like
that was
family.
like you were kind of fated, like
right.
You can't do anything. Your parents are making you move, so
right.
But this is more like you want to go.
It's more like me. I want to go.
Yeah.
But I looked at that situation being in Texas. Like I see guys. I don't want to be a guy that doesn't leave the place where you graduated high school. I didn't want that, and I even at 18, still kind of like directionless. I was scared of like getting trapped.
Of course.
And moving to LA kind of like was an opportunity to kind of restart.
Yeah. And you were like 18, right? You moved.
18, yeah. 18.
And then you weren't there, and then you started working, or martial
arts. I moved
arts,
there, and like I was saying, I just really started helping my parents kind of like get settled in. My little brother is 8 years younger than me, so he was like 10 at the time.
Yeah.
Taking him to school, picking him up every day, doing those
really
things.
Young. Yeah. You're definitely a good brother. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, man. He was also like a really good basketball player at a young age. So I spent a lot of time like helping him with basketball and like being like his little personal trainer for a little bit, taking him to the park, working out and stuff. And then a year or so passed, and I was like, okay, like let's go back to school.
Yeah.
Started going back to school. I think I wanted to do business. And then I transitioned from business, and I was like, maybe I'll do architecture. And I found out that you need 3 calculus courses. I was like, nope, can't do calculus.
Yeah.
And then started running track, and then found kinesiology as a career, like a potential path.
Yeah.
Started doing that. Started taking more science-based courses, and finished.
Yeah.
Honestly, running track and kinesiology, I thought was going to be what carried me to a 4-year.
Oh, okay.
Right? Like, so you go to junior college, it's 2 years. You graduate, you go to a 4-year school.
Yeah.
I didn't get scholarship opportunities, and a collection of things kind of happened where I needed to start working full time.
Yeah.
My parents lost their home in the housing crisis of 2008, like a lot of people did.
Oh man, I was. Yeah,
you were a part of that too?
My aunt. Yeah. It was rough.
It was rough. Yeah, and I mean, like my parents, obviously, as I've expressed, they did a lot to just always provide, and that was hard for them to have left Texas where they were stable, moved to California into that housing situation. Sure. So for me, even though I was working part-time jobs here and there, this was the first time to where it was like, okay, I have to like step out on my own now and get a full-time job.
Yeah.
And I started working for Fairmont Hotels and started doing, security and all that. And that was like the next 7 years of my life. And it was one of those things where it's like, I'll go back to school next semester.
For sure. And it just
never happened.
Hotel life, you get sucked into
hotel
it.
life, man, you get
hotel
sucked
life,
into it.
Yeah. I was like that too. I was part of JW Marriott, and
what's up.
I didn't even like, it was just so comforting. Like you go, everything's clean.
Yeah,
you get
man.
It's a weird number,
and you're young. So I was
a
department head. I got hired when I was like 24. I worked there for 2 years. Then I was a department head all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, I'm 26 years old with a salary. I get to wear a suit every day. They shine it up for you.
Yeah. You got your own little, you got your washing area. You got your whole like.
You guys pay for my dry cleaning?
Yeah, dry cleaning.
What?
Yeah.
I'm balling. I got a good job.
Yeah. Don't pay for anything. Food supplied, everything. They got you, lock you in. It's great, but yeah.
They lock you in. And like, no disrespect to some people, like, that's what you want. And like, that's
great.
And I don't want to ever put anybody down, because I think as artists, sometimes we'll get the notion that like, oh, you work a 9 to 5, like, what are you doing with your life? It's like, no, that's not the case. Not everyone is driven to the same.
For sure. Everybody's route is different.
Has different motivations.
Everybody has different ways.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everybody has different routes, and that's the same thing why this podcast or this show exists, because of that. Like, we want to like figure out like everybody has a different way of coming into the arts, and I think it's just more about like how do you navigate through life, and it's all good. Like if you love what you do, you love what you do. Like it is what it is. So speaking about that, how long have you been doing acting so far?
Man, I just finished writing like letters of purpose or statements of purpose. I'm applying for MFAs.
Okay, cool.
So they make you write about all this stuff.
Yeah.
And, I can expressly remember like being 5 years old and reciting whole movies to my parents, or whole shows and stuff. So like, it was always in me.
Yeah.
I just didn't know how to carry it,
Fair.
And I have only been doing it with this level of intention for about 5-6 years now.
Wow. And I feel like you've done so much already. Like, I feel like there's a lot of people who actually even graduated from musical theater and or just like acting, performing arts, but not really like pursuing it. It's like it's kind of like how you were when you were like you were saying that like in high school where you kind of make an excuse for not doing it. You know? But I feel like you are like just head on everything, like acting, just going to commercials and shows and just like linking up with like readings.
Yeah, I'm seeking it out.
Yeah. Hardcore.
Yeah, man.
I feel like
so for me, I have like I don't know. I feel like I spent a lot of my life just kind of going through the motions. And I say that confidently because I look back on it now as experience that I carry everywhere, and I think it's valuable. But right now, man, I feel so driven, and I wake up every day excited because I think that every aspect of my life right now are things that I want to be doing. Like, no matter how busy my day gets or like how crazy this week's schedule is, it's like, okay, but each one of these things I am like trying to do. Like, this is intentional. And that has not always been the case. And you know, you come across people in life to where you're like, damn, like this person is doing this. Like, how did they understand that that's what they wanted to do? Some people just
get tired?
Get it early. Well, also some people just got it early. For me, like even when I get tired, I'm like, well, I'm tired because I'm doing the doing. Like I'm trying to do this thing. And I haven't always had that. And I think that that's what like reinvigorates me. That's what keeps me like chasing, looking for the next opportunity, because I know that this is what I want, you know, and I haven't always done that. And
you found a passion. It's almost like you're just like driven because of that passion that you really want this to work, and it feels good too. You're like, it's almost like it's something that you feel every time you step into it, you're always learning something. And I feel like some people are driven by like learning in a way. Like it's like, oh man, this is a new place I never entered before, and I get like a little dopamine kick because of like, my God, this is great, you know. Like
I was never a good student, and that could have probably been just from like lack of effort, lack of intention, lack of direction, right?
Or visual, or
but like bro, I am so excited about like reading. I was looking at like, you know, people do like these end of year recaps things. I was just looking at how many books I bought this year. I was like, bro, who is this person?
It's great.
And I mean, like, that's not like a look at me thing. I'm just happy about like that. Like cool, I enjoy this thing now. I enjoy cultivating all of these different parts of myself. And I'm happy to just be really content with myself and know who I am and enjoy building around that. Like that's valuable, man. Like you ever been driving and be like literally just lost, like, damn, I don't know like where the street is, and then oh, there's that sign that's gonna take me to where I need to go. Man, you're so excited. You hit the gas and like, let's go. That's how I feel right now.
That's awesome.
And I just want to continue to carry that.
Oh yeah. Hearing you makes you want to go and make stuff right now. Very inspiring. All right, so just so you know, we had to like wear gloves.
The coffee's gone.
So cold. So. It's like in the middle of winter right now. So very, very cold.
But it was also just 60 degrees last week, so we don't know what to expect.
Let's talk about like, we were talking about brass and tacks right now. So let's go down to the business of like the rawness of it. So where do you live right now?
East Village.
East Village,
Manhattan.
And we are in East Village right now too.
We are,
just like Cooper Square. And Manhattan, it's great. How much do you pay rent?
Man, so we are paying $2,500 a month for our space.
Is it a one-bedroom apartment or?
It is a one-bedroom apartment,
a
little less than 1,000 square feet.
It's actually not that bad.
So I think we got a good deal. Every time I talk to somebody, they're like, dude, you're doing a good job.
That's a good deal.
Again, credit to Sophie. I was in Texas, and we kind of like decided that we were going to come to New York, and it's like, okay, when are we going to move in? She's lived here before. She just kind of came out here and went Terminator mode on finding a place. Found a place, and I don't know if it was like getting the tail end of the COVID deals or what. But a lot of people say that, you know, they're paying $3,000, et cetera.
Oh yeah, one-bedroom apartment
here, man. It's just expensive.
In Manhattan, impossible. If you say that to me right now, that's almost like it's like usually 4,300, 5,000. One-bedroom apartment in Manhattan is East Village, especially like nuts. Like I live in a little loft and it's like $2,000.
So like because it's the both of us, I
Yeah,
get it.
it's great.
That we couldn't do anything smaller.
Yeah.
But if it was just me and I had a place, I've been to your place. You know, if
Yeah.
I had a place like your size, like I'd be like paying $2,000. Like that's
Yeah.
it's tough.
It's tough, but
So I get it. So anytime I get frustrated and I'm like walking up the stairs
Yeah.
or whatever, or complaining that it's pre-war,
Yeah.
I have to remember that we might be getting a good deal. So
yeah.
and I factor it into like everything kind of being fortuitous right now. So
For sure.
My lease is coming up in May.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have to figure out what that's gonna look like
sure.
because I hear horror stories
Yeah.
about people, their lease coming to an end and they
And
jack
it's-
the price
yeah,
up
for
$2,000
Yeah.
or something.
Well, hopefully it won't change that.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. What were you
No,
gonna
you're
say?
good. So, and then I'm assuming you have no roommates, just with Sophie.
Just Sophie, yes.
Yeah,
me and
so just
Sophie,
two of
yeah.
you. How do you pay your bills? Like
Yeah.
the jobs that you do?
A few different things. I work as a host at one location, so
Yeah.
like customer service.
Like a concierge kind of thing?
Yeah, kind of like concierge. I bartend, super part-time, like basically like whenever I can get a shift.
Mm-hmm.
And then I do kickboxing instruction, like just recently started doing it again.
Oh, nice.
That's how I used to make like most of my money
Yeah.
back in LA. Towards the end, like right before COVID,
Yeah.
when I really started to put more time towards my acting, I was trying to like make sure I had like a balanced schedule.
Okay.
You can make your own schedule as a personal trainer, and that
Yeah,
gave
yeah,
me
yeah.
the most time for like
That's true.
auditions and classes and stuff like that. Or, you know, an audition will come up overnight. So
Mhm.
if you have like a 9 to 5, good
So-
luck getting off work if you got to go in for an audition tomorrow. But if I have 3 clients, I can call Chad and be like,
Yeah.
"Hey, Chad, unfortunately, I got an audition tomorrow."
sure.
You know, move that around. And it's good money if you get good clientele. So
Totally.
I just started doing that again now.
Nice.
So kind of juggling those 3 things.
Yeah, and
each
then-
one of them gives me, you know, good flexibility.
Own benefit too,
Right.
like different things. The concierge situation, is it like how are they paying over there?
That's funny.
Hourly, right?
It's hourly for sure. It's hourly.
Part time?
It's part-time. And I came here with the intention of doing part-time, and I always communicate that, like, again, transparent, out front. I'm here for school
Yeah.
and to act.
And
That's
you have
what
to
I'm
remind
here
yourself
for.
too of that
And I have
too.
to
Like
remind
I
myself
got, yeah,
that too.
because now you're gonna be like
They'll
you're gonna be
dangle
like
the
the
carrot
hotel.
in front of
yeah,
you
yeah,
for sure, like the hotel.
Yeah, you get stuck.
Because if you bring quality, then people want that quality for their benefit, et
Yeah.
cetera. And that's not like a negative thing. That's
Yeah.
just like the capitalist
this is how
structure
it
we
is,
live
yeah.
within, right?
Exactly.
So I'm part-time over there, and I've been offered full-time. I've been offered opportunities of leadership, et cetera,
yeah.
et cetera. But I have to keep it
Yeah.
part-time.
Is it $18 an hour or?
It's 25.
Oh,
It's
okay.
25. So it's
actually not that bad.
It's not that bad.
It's okay.
But I didn't know. I'm coming from Texas at the time
Yeah.
because I got hired at this place in Texas.
Yeah.
And I transferred to come here.
Yeah.
I got an increase when I came here, but I didn't get as much of an increase as I guess I could have because
Yeah.
I found that some people make a little bit more, but it is
Yeah.
what it is.
Yeah.
I just keep it in
sure.
perspective that, like, you know, it's a means to an end, so it's all good.
Totally. Yeah. 25 an hour is pretty. It's like it's you know I've heard horror stories of other people doing like office jobs 25, and it's like in Manhattan, it's like that's so
That
unfair.
seems unfair.
Yeah, especially-
25. You're doing an office job. You should just probably
yeah.
get more
I-
because you're talking full time probably with that
Yeah,
person.
full
too.
time that person. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, cool. So you do that one, and then you see the bar gig once in a while.
Yeah,
and
the
how
bar
much?
gig.
You get tips too. for that one,
Yeah, so
probably.
it's pretty
That
much
was
tip
pretty
based.
good,
I don't
yeah.
even factor in how much we get paid hourly.
It's probably
'cause
like
all
10 bucks
tip.
or
It's probably like
whatever,
10 or
yeah.
15 bucks or something.
Yeah.
But the tips are really good. It's one of
Yeah.
those. It's a volume bar,
Yeah.
so it's not like
Okay.
a craft bar
Cool,
where
cool.
I'm in there making like high mixology
mixology
drinks.
stuff, yeah.
It's pump and dump, you know,
For sure,
like
for sure. That's great. Yeah, easy.
which
You
is
don't
good,
have
it's
to like
easy.
think too much.
the rates here are more expensive than they are in Los Angeles for personal training. So in LA, I used to charge like $75 or at most $100 an hour
Yeah.
for like a session for kickboxing or MMA or
Yeah.
strength and conditioning. Here, it's usually like $150 as like a base, which is crazy to me. But people are willing to pay it. That's the level. That's where we are. So
Also,
yeah.
everything's going up right now. It's like,
everything's going
so
up, man.
expensive.
It's nuts.
Yeah. Okay, so and then from there, how do you find like it seems like you have a lot of stuff going on.
Yep.
And how do you like manage your time to like, you know, work on your craft as like getting better as an artist? And,
Yeah.
And if you can like kind of tell us like how do you like do that time or even let's start off with just like what do you do in that time?
Yeah. I think it depends. So I'm, again, fortunate enough to be in school. So I am in between semesters right now. So what I'll do if I'm in between semesters, I try and find scene study programs
Okay.
or intensives to do in between semesters. Right now, I'm preparing my monologues for MFA auditions. So I just set up time. Used to be a personal trainer, I used to have a lot of conversations with people about time management and how they're going to prioritize, fitting fitness into their well-being, et cetera, et cetera. And I have to use that same kind of logic for myself. So yeah, sure, I have 30 hours this week that I'm using for work, 12 hours this week that I'm using for this, using for that. I make sure no matter what, like get up and go to the gym, man, look at your lines.
Yeah.
Get up,
nice.
Look at your lines. Like if I start the day with that, then I've already checked the box for it.
Yeah, you're doing it. It's a part of your life. You just got to put 100%,
it in. You have to.
Yeah.
If I make it like that, if I make it obligatory, if it's disciplined in that way, then I know at least I'm already doing a little bit. 10 push-ups is better than not doing anything today, right? So I wake up and make sure that I at least look at my lines.
Yeah.
I'll bring my lines to work. I'll look at my lines while I'm on the floor at work. I'm one of the people in New York that you'll see walking around talking to themselves. And it's like, oh, is that guy crazy? No, he's just probably working on his lines. That's literally me. That's the best way for me to do it.
Yeah, that works for you.
I'm a self-recorder, so like I'll record them, and then and some people listen to music in the shower. If I'm in the shower, you're probably listening to like the dialogue of whatever scene I'm working on.
That's great.
Always being around.
Yeah, because you want to hear like how you articulate words and
100%.
How that feeling and how you're like. That's such a good. I never even thought about that, but that's
everybody
cool.
has their own method.
Yeah, that's just great.
I think
thank you for sharing that. That's awesome.
No worries. I mean, and also I'm not trying to like hide it. You know what I mean?
So so basically you fill the time with like talking about you're basically doing the lines, like scenes, and looking for like areas, and at school, you're going to school, so that's what you do with your free time.
Yeah.
And you were saying that MFA auditions.
Yeah.
Like, what is this like?
So. It depends like which program you're talking about, but typically there's an application process where you submit all of this information about yourself, and then you write usually a couple different essays.
Yeah.
And then after that's complete, there's a audition process, and you prepare some monologues, and you go in.
That's what you were talking about.
That's what I was talking about. Yeah. So the audition processes are coming up towards the end of this month. So you go in there and you give them your best, and then see if they bite, and then after that. There's usually another round. I think that the second round or the final callbacks are at the end of February.
Okay.
And then in March, you find out if they want you or not.
Yeah.
And for me, that's going to be really important for my timeline because, my lease is up in May.
I
graduate in May. So if I get into one of these programs, that'll determine if I live in New York for another 6 months, a year, or if I'm moving to Connecticut, or if I'm moving to, wherever.
Totally.
So
thank you for sharing that.
Yeah,
so then, so now we'll go back to the time management thing. So how do you manage your time? Since we already know that what you do in that time.
For me,
that was mainly what you were saying. I guess you were like reading it during shower and going to gym.
If you're talking about time management in general or time management regarding acting, because
like I would say for like acting wise, like how do you find time to like get your craft like more sharp in it? Like, in your daily day, it seems so busy. Like you can talk in any way you want.
Yeah, no, I get it. It depends, man. I think that there's no way to know where you are with something unless you're doing it.
Yeah.
So like right now, I insert a monologue that I'm working on. If I'm stumbling on it, if I'm not in a place where I feel comfortable with it, then I know that there's X amount of work that still needs to be done on it.
Yeah.
So I have to prioritize where that work is going to fall in my day-to-day. You got to keep a roof over your head. You got to have food to eat.
For sure.
What comes after that, right? Like, so roof over your head, food to eat. Usually what comes next for me, priority-wise, time-wise, is doing the work.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm going to fill that time with. That's the best way that I can describe it.
No,
I also think that, something that's interesting is I didn't have this academic background for theater. So when I got that kind of understanding, when you're spending time with teachers and kind of you create a structure, it's like, okay, cool, I see what this structure is. Now I can implement that in my own kind of creative process.
Yeah.
And I just think it's legitimately the daily practice. If you're working on it daily, like get up and go to the gym, man, look at your lines.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
If there's that little bit happening every day, over time, it's gonna stick. It's gonna start to click. It's gonna feel better.
So it seems like your element of style is like always immerse yourself every day, every minute almost. Do do you do it more like? Is there times where like you, your days off? Like, I mean, how many do you even have days off? Like,
I don't think
like
I have
work-wise,
days
work-
off.
work
Oh,
off.
from
For
work?
work, yeah.
Yes.
like 2 days, 3 days, 2 days, 1 day?
I have like a block that I work consistently with the concierge job. That's week to week the same.
Yeah.
And then the other days were oriented for school, which
Okay.
I don't see as days off
Yeah.
because that's work
For
too.
sure.
But right now, in between semesters, since I'm not in school,
Yeah.
those have, like, the time has been kind of ratcheted up that I get to work on the craft,
Yeah.
which is good. So, but that's now on my own volition. It's
Yeah.
not classroom.
For sure.
It's Lance room now. You know, like
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
doing this on my own.
Yeah. Discipline on your own.
Discipline on my own, and I've also got I've got the other jobs now.
Mhm.
So
For sure.
it's I literally look at it like on a day-to-day thing, and sometimes it doesn't work.
Yeah.
The intention is to get a certain amount of work in every day.
Yeah.
And then some days are different. But
Fair.
if you're blessed with the opportunity of tomorrow, then you just kind of, okay, cool, we can do better today.
Yeah.
and
But
figure
you
it
don't.
out.
But you don't like set up like, okay, this week I work this, and like, all right, cool. This day, I'll have to do all of these things, and on this one day, or we'll set up like, okay, at nighttime I'll work every night. There's this time. You don't do that. You're more like,
Yes. No, that's a true thing.
okay,
Also, so that sounds like I meet with my advisor twice this week.
okay,
We like off the top of my head, I know we have a meeting on Tuesday and
Yeah.
then we have a meeting on Thursday.
Okay.
So like on Tuesday and Thursday, I know I'm going and meeting with her for 2 hours and we're gonna work on this thing.
yeah,
Outside of those block schedules, I know that in the morning when I get up, I'm gonna look over my lines. After I come back from the gym when I'm making my breakfast, like that's gonna be the thing.
yeah,
And then the monologue work, I might just be working on that for 4 hours if I have dead time. Like if I have dead time, then I'm gonna work on it.
yeah.
That's really how I look at it.
Okay.
If I know I have work, like work, job work, then it's either gonna be before or after that.
That's fair.
But I think that without having like a project that I'm working on, there's not like a due date. There's like the due date is the audition.
Yeah.
So I don't have like a box to check on.
Okay.
I'm gonna just keep working.
You're just
on the
reading
thing.
or whatever, like trying
Reading
to like
on the
get
thing,
your charisma better.
doing
and
text work, doing character work, like just it's such
open-
almost like an indescribable thing.
Yeah,
so it's
yeah,
weird
fair.
to talk about.
Yeah,
but no,
yeah.
I get what you're trying to get at. But like I have to imagine like when you're working on something and you're editing it down, like at a certain point you're like, okay, this is done.
Yeah.
Right? It's for us, it's not done until you shoot the thing.
Yeah.
Or
So
until you
continue to
perform
think
the
about
thing.
it. Yeah.
So you continue working on it. Like right now, it's this date. The audition is on this date.
Yeah.
If I feel good about it here, and I got 2 weeks, I'm not just gonna,
Yeah.
all right, well, I'm just gonna sit on it now.
Totally.
No, I'll still chip away at it. Maybe I don't have to be so intense with it, because when I first get a piece, and I know I gotta work on it, it's this big.
Yeah.
And the more you work on it, it gets smaller
Smaller,
and
yeah.
smaller and smaller and smaller and
Yeah.
smaller. And right now, all the things I'm working on, I can carry them around with me. But it's not done. You know what I mean? It's not done until done until I'm
you submitted it,
until
or
I'm
like
enrolled.
you're there. Yeah,
For me,
yeah,
man,
yeah.
it's not done until I'm enrolled.
Fair.
You know? So
Totally.
yeah, and we'll see what happens.
So for like the time management thing, it seems that like you've always been kind of just you get your script or whatever you got to do, lines, and then from there you kind of move on.
And really prioritizing it, man. Really prioritizing it, being intentional about it. Like that's, again, not something I have always been at all.
Just working
like,
on it right now.
I've
Always
just
consistent.
gotten better at it over time.
Totally.
And still getting better at it.
Yeah.
And there's days where I'm like, Lance, you could have been more productive for sure. But we're allowed to curse, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, man, like there's days where I'm like, yeah, I could have been better at it. Or because I'm juggling so many things, maybe I was really good about working on my lines today, but I didn't do anything to, seek out auditions, or I didn't do anything to, communicate with my nonprofit partners, I do have a lot of things going on, so it requires being like really conscious about the hour to hour, day to day. And
Fair.
I don't see that as a burden.
Yeah.
It's just, something to always be working on.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course, man.
And
Thank you. This has been dope.
so like another thing is I guess like you're doing like commercial stuff, and what other stuff you do, like TV?
Man, I
you're
don't
trying to just
wanna
go
do commercial.
Fair.
No disrespect to anybody out there that's in the commercial world.
Yeah.
It's not what I want to do.
Yeah.
And when I talk to most people, I feel like commercial for actors is like, again, it's a means to an end. It's another one of the jobs that we would reference because it ends. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What you want is to get booked for that show.
Consistent. Yeah.
That is, has 4 different dates week to week for 2 months. That's what you want.
Survival,
or you want to
yeah.
get cast in that film, or you want to get cast in this thing that will continue it. A lot of times for me as an actor, I feel like the commercial side it's almost not even acting.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like, you just kind of show up and you get to fill this space for this day, and then you get a check. But I do it because, rent's $2,500.
Yeah,
That's why you do it.
Yeah.
So you submit that audition and you hope that you get it as a means to an end, just like you show up to work and you hope that your check shows up every 2 weeks. It's the same thing.
Do you would those go into your reels too, like for like when you submit things for like TV or theater?
I haven't, no.
Yeah.
So like I have a couple different things that I've done for commercial, but I don't put them in my acting reel.
Okay, fair.
I don't know. There's different ways to do this dance. Again, I don't really have a Sherpa on this mountain either.
Yeah.
So, if I got better representation and that representation was like, hey, you could actually do this, cool, I'll take that advisement. But another thing that I'm learning is there's a lot of different ways to do this. You could probably have a full commercial reel. There's people who have, a dozen commercials. Yeah, you could have all those things on there. I don't have that much. So
yeah, that's probably their route.
It's almost like a thing I can't even concern myself with because I don't even have that much footage out there for commercials. So like,
fair.
Yeah.
Do you? What is your like? I guess like your show or theater like you've worked on before and like that you thought was like a big production thingy? Have you ever worked on any big things there before?
Nothing big. I mean, the biggest thing that I've ever worked on for sure was the Masters commercial that I did this year, or I guess last year.
Not commercials, but like theater or
theater. I have zero theater performances.
Oh, I see.
I have theater training now, which I appreciate every minute of, but I've never done like a theater production. Not as an adult. I can talk about like childhood, but
yeah.
But like as an adult, nothing.
Fair.
I didn't even apply to go into the theater program when I came to the new school.
Oh, wow.
Because I knew I didn't have the academic acumen for it.
It's different. It's a different world.
It's a different world. I was an adult returning to school. I was just happy to get in somewhere.
Yeah.
So then when I got in, I was like, okay, liberal arts degree, self-design.
Yeah.
They catered to adults returning to school. I was like, dope. And then I literally took that and took every theater class that they would let me. And now I'm graduating with a minor in theater, so it works out.
Yeah.
But now I'm going towards the MFA, and it's like, oh, here's the opportunity to like have my whole plate be theater.
For sure.
And I'm really looking forward to that. Again, like regardless of what comes next, graduation, the next step is continue my actor training.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome.
It's weird, man. I didn't have great proximity to the
theater.
No,
it's all good. Yeah.
So it's like I didn't even know how I felt about theater
Yeah.
until I started going to the theater, and I'm like, I love this.
Yeah.
Just as much as I love sitting down in front of a screen and watching a film.
Sure.
To me, I love them. They're different, and I love them equally.
Yeah.
So now I feel just as excited as an opportunity to get to tell a story on stage as I would in front of a camera. I don't want to personally distinguish the two. Like, do you want to? That's a question all the time. You're like, oh, do you want to act on stage or do you want to do like be on camera or whatever?
Yeah.
Like, they're different sports, but I want to do both. I want to be able to be as good as Lance can possibly be in either direction.
Yeah.
So that's why the mission is just to keep getting better.
It's fair. What do you want to? What is your trajectory? Or what do you want to become in the end? Will you feel like, all right, this is the stage now?
This is the cool thing, man, about this craft is that you could do it forever.
Yeah.
But
what would you want?
No man lives forever, but like, you could do it forever. I just went to go see the piano lesson.
Oh yeah. Nice.
Samuel L. Jackson is 76, I think.
Yeah.
And just delivered on that stage. And I was like, I would love to do that.
Yeah.
I would love to mess my head up for a second, thinking about me at 76. Like, what a blessing to get to 76, right? And then what a blessing to get to 76 and still be doing your craft at a high level. I couldn't ask for anything more than that. But what I want to do is to be able to navigate this life as a person who makes their living by their craft, which is for me as an actor. And then through that, I'll be able to help grow my nonprofit. Through that, I'll be able to help, my family. Maybe I'll teach. Maybe I have a lot of different thoughts about it. I mean, I want to continue doing martial arts training.
Of course.
Idris Elba is one of my favorite actors and also is a martial artist. Took a professional kickboxing fight when he was 42. I feel great still. Every time I go train, I still go spar. I think it would be dope to be a working actor and also just like pop up at a kickboxing fight one day and take one. I see all of these things for myself. So when you say like, what do I want? I want to see where this can take me. I want to see what opportunities I'll get and what stories I'll get to tell. And then from there, the rest will come together.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, I hope you get those things, and it seems like you are on the right trajectory. I mean, you have like the positive attitude and keep going, and I think that's like all we have. Like, we continue as like artists, like no matter how low you get, or if you just continue on working on your thing, it makes you happy. Like, I think that's all you want.
I mean, I've done the opposite.
Yeah,
I've done the opposite,
like, what are we doing?
You know,
just work. What is the end? What is this? Yeah.
And I think that's the beautiful thing about life experience. It's a beautiful thing about being artists in our 30s, and like we've, again, service industry oriented.
Yeah.
You know, I get that that's the essence of this podcast. And, the arts are the service industry. Yeah. Like, it's weird because people will shit on the arts, but everybody relies on the arts when the chips are down. Yeah. And we are doing this to kind of bridge that gap. It's the human element is the whole
like
point.
The high and low is so crazy.
It's so crazy. Like the human element is everything. Like whether it's the stage or the screen or, I'm terrible at like terminology for fine arts. So like, if you're a painter, regardless, you make music, like all of that is about people. Yeah. So if it's about people, then we are trying to supply a service. For sure. That's the intention. So let us cook, man.
Totally. I know. So speaking about that, just the grittiest stuff, the things that you want to say, you can just let it out. Yeah. And we're just going to go through it. And if it's too crazy, we'll cut it out, So don't worry. Just let everything out. Whatever you want to say, just go. And then we can always like edit stuff. But so, working in the service industry, you worked pretty long time. Like, you were 14. You said you were working.
I got my first job. 15, Pizza Hut.
Pizza Hut. Oh, wow. That's crazy. My buddy when in high school, like, I would meet up with him at Pizza Hut because he would work Pizza Hut. I would work in a hotel. Yeah. That's a good spot to like start off. And then from there,
I never was unemployed until COVID.
Wow. So you worked for Pizza Hut, and then you worked in a hotel?
Pizza Hut. No, there was a lot of jobs between Pizza Hut.
So okay. But let's just, there's too many to talk about.
Yeah, too many to talk about. But there was just Hollywood Video, Finish Line, Dick's Sporting Goods. I used to answer calls for, like a reception desk. Yeah. I used to call people for for Anlin, window treatments.
Oh, wow.
I had a bunch of jobs. Wow. A bunch of jobs. Express Clothing. Crazy.
Okay. Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. and then the hotel one.
The hotel job. The hotel job was like my first big boy job.
Yeah.
If you want to call it that.
That's awesome.
It was 40 hours a week. It was, wearing a suit every day.
Yeah.
5-star, 5-diamond hotel, that whole thing.
Yeah, and now you're working at a place here, but it seems like this was now is a little bit better because now you're more focused. Like, okay, now you have your head like, I'm doing this, and then this is like supporting me to do what I want to do.
Yeah,
just great. Versus like you kind of like, I don't know, I'm just gonna work this and
again just
kind of
like
into it.
Just kind of going through the motions.
Yeah.
The best way I could describe it. Yeah. Like working for a check, knowing what that check means, and then kind of.
Yeah, for sure.
I used to think like dead end job meant that the job couldn't go anywhere, but dead end job means like you don't know what you're doing at this job. You don't know like why you're here.
Yeah.
And that could mean different things for everyone, but for me, that's what it means.
And at this job, when you're working there, have you any of these jobs basically like while you're working service, have you ever had like a difficult time and you just like, what like gritty stuff that has happened to you that you think that like customers done to you or?
Bro, I used to work security in a hotel.
Oh, okay.
I almost want to say just leave it there. I've seen that's
That
the crazy
bad.
thing. That's the crazy thing about the service industry, though, right? Like, as an artist, you have this drive to do things for people.
Yeah.
I used to ask people that in interviews. I would say, like, first things first, like, if you don't care, then I can't hire you. Because if you care, then I can teach you to do anything.
Yeah.
But if you don't care, then, like, I can't do anything with you.
Fair.
Honestly, because of that intention, that's why people work in service. The people who, like, do it and care about it.
Yeah.
And if you work and you care about people, then interactions when people treat you like or interactions when people just, like, don't, like, pigeons. Interactions where, like, people kind of, like, disrespect your humanity, don't have any empathy for you as, like, a working person providing a service to them, that shit hurts.
Yeah.
Genuinely.
For sure.
And, like, that might sound soft or whatever, but, like, I don't care because it's genuine.
Yeah.
Like, if you interact with someone and they do something that kind of, like, stomps on the care that you're trying to provide, it sucks.
Yeah.
So I've never waited tables before, but I can only imagine how shitty that is because I know that you deal with a lot of it there. So working in hotels as security, I dealt with it a lot.
Yeah.
Even from, like, people that you work with or people that, like, come to work with you.
Yeah.
The expectations as being, like, a young manager. Like, I remember people would come. We had the finish for the Los Angeles Marathon would be at, like, our hotel.
Oh, wow.
So after the Boston bombing happened, there was, like, a lot of security protocol went up. Little 27-year-old me with no military or police experience was the head of security for this hotel. And I remember the face that people would make when I'd come down to the lobby to meet with them and be like, oh yeah, this is our head of security. I was like, what? Like this guy? Like, you know what I mean? So those moments, or just, like, you deal with a shitty customer. Somebody, like, there's a lot. I mean, I don't have, like, what were you asking for? Were you asking for, like, a specific experience?
Yeah, no. It's all good. It's all good. So I guess, like
almost endless, man.
Yeah. Security
is
is like, you definitely have.
You get like to the place to where you're like, you deal with a good person that has, like, a genuine positive encounter, and that can, like, refresh your day.
Nice.
You know?
Totally.
You have, like, that customer that comes in and is just, like, jovial and has a good time, like, leaves you a tip that's worthy of your time, like, and that's cool.
Yeah, for
bartending,
sure.
man, that's the new thing for me that's so disrespectful. Like, we had a girl who basically started a fight, had, like, a almost $300 bar tab, and, like, intentionally, like, outed us as zero for, like, a $300 bar tab. I'm just like, I care less about the money. It's just crazy that you move like this in life, because if you can't, I'm not saying don't go out, but factor in tipping the people that are providing you a service into going out, for sure.
They had a fight like this. What happened? Like,
oh, she just was, like,
fighting with who? Like, with the bartenders?
Some girls were in front of her. She was, like, a taller, imposing girl, and she just kind of, like, literally bowed them out of the way, and we had to, like, break it up. It wasn't a serious altercation.
But they was in between other customers.
Yeah, this in between other
customers.
Oh,
wow. And then they didn't give you a tip at the end. That's crazy. Unbelievable. That's
wild, right?
That's
wild. But it happens a lot.
That's crazy.
It happens a lot. You get stiffed a lot.
Wow.
And this is, like, my first bartending job, so getting that experience is like, that sucks.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
I just always tip people because I know what it's like to be in service. So there's a lot of people who just move like that. Like, what? Tipping? No.
Tipping, yeah.
This is your job. You're supposed to do that. Then don't go out. Make the drink at home. What are you doing? Like, what are you talking about? Like, it's America. What are you talking about?
This is not like, this factored into the work.
I'm not a plebe. I'm not a peasant. No, like, I'm doing this job. You pay me for this job. What are you talking about?
It's very unfortunate that people still don't think that, like tipping is, like, important. Like, that's not part of, like, their situation. Like, no, that's literally part of the whole service.
Don't go out. If you don't tip people, stay your ass at home.
Yeah, you definitely have to, like, put it. It's like the $10 an hour. That's, like, if you're lucky.
Yeah.
Some places even pay $5. I've seen a coffee shop that pays $5 in Manhattan, which is so unbelievable.
It's like,
how?
To me, that's illegal.
It should be illegal.
Like, minimum wage. Chris Rock
is already illegal.
Chris Rock had this quote. He was like, "I used to work at Red Lobster." Shout out to Red Lobster. He was like, "I used to work at Red Lobster, and they paid me minimum wage." And I mean, Chris Rock, he's like 50 something, so this was probably like in the 80s.
Yeah.
He was probably making like $4 an hour, and he was like, "They paid me minimum wage," which to me means I would pay you nothing if it wasn't illegal.
Yeah.
And that, to me, how I've looked at minimum wage ever since.
Yeah.
I've always looked at it that way.
That's so funny.
literally, man, like companies would pay you nothing.
Yeah. If they
Come
could.
in, I'll feed you. I'll give you you get a free meal every day, but wash these dishes or something stupid like that.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. That's just gnarly. It's crazy.
But that's the service industry.
Yeah. Do you think that so talking about that, like that service seems to be the most like difficult people are definitely in the food beverage, I feel like.
For sure.
Because like
I have to imagine.
Because the other one that you're working right now, you're security or your concierge?
I'm a concierge.
Yeah, and how is that do you have difficulty there too when you're working?
I do.
But not as much?
Completely different.
Yeah.
Like, completely different style.
For sure.
Like
people there are more a little bit more.
Anytime you're working with people who are inebriated, you're gonna have a different experience.
Yeah.
The things I deal with at the other job is now you're talking about the luxury environment.
Yeah.
The luxury
This is a luxury brand, by the way.
Yeah,
it's like a
luxury
luxury company.
establishment.
Yeah.
And once you get to that place, you're dealing with expectations.
Yeah.
And people's expectations, you want to level set and provide a service, but also you you are going to have to mitigate different personality types. Like you're gonna have people who come in and they're gonna want to spend $500 on this thing.
Yeah.
And this thing is like the most that they can afford, and you understand that like this is valuable, and you have to, handle that situation with gloves the same way that this person who's spending like $100,000 is going to deal with this situation and has like no patience, no empathy, and like looks at you like the help.
Yeah.
And how do you deal with that? And you deal with those interactions back to back.
Fair.
Throughout the day.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
We also have this weird thing going on right now. Our space is an inspirational space, and people come in and they want to take photos. And with social media the way that it is right now, people come in not as customers, not to dine with us, not to shop with us, and they come in right now and they'll want to take up space to do these photo shoots. Well, we don't allow that.
Yeah.
We have celebrity clientele, so we don't allow any photography outside of cell phone photography.
Yeah.
Because of, paparazzi could want to come in, if you're Chris Pratt and you're trying to buy this thing, then, we're not going to have paparazzi or whatever come in.
Yeah.
So that's like a blanket statement that we can use to keep people from also having crazy photo shoots.
Yeah.
And my position, although it's not security, I still have to go and kind of like enforce those things.
Yeah.
And man, there's a lot of kickback sometimes.
For sure.
And the conversations are like so disrespectful.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know, if you told me, hey, come over, I go over to your house, you're like, hey, take off your shoes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take off my shoes, it's your house.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing, like if you come in someone's house, you come in someone's business, respect the rules.
Yeah, for sure.
And I just think that sometimes we as people just lack that empathy. We lack that understanding of like, oh, I'm going into this situation, obey the rules. And I know that there's this whole like, oh, be defiant thing, but like,
know your place.
This isn't
this
is
is
time
not
and place. This isn't the opportunity
this is
for the
private
revolution.
property.
It's
dude.
private property.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, you don't have to come in here. It was like, oh my God, when the masks were mandatory.
Yeah.
I don't care about your political affiliations. I don't care about what you believe. Like,
it's part of it. Just do it.
If you come in this business, we're asking that you wear a mask.
It's not, you don't make the law. You
don't make the law. So don't argue with me about
you're getting paid hourly. Barely paid.
I'm getting paid hourly, dude.
Yeah.
To tell you not to put, not to
do it.
Not to, come in here with your face open.
Yeah.
Put a mask on.
Come on, man. Come on.
Don't call me. Don't bring up draconian laws.
Yeah.
Get out of here, Facebook politician.
It's nuts. So speaking about that stuff,
people are crazy.
Speaking of stuff,
but we love you and we're in service.
So the thing is, like, when you're working on these things, it seems like because you're always busy, you got to do your thing, and there's always like other stuff going on, and you're working on your craft, and you have a script or whatever that's happening in the background. Do you think that sometimes it's like really tough for you to like, come back like after work? Oh, I got to go this place, and like, does it weigh you down sometimes? Like people, or like do you get that like or you just like, it's work, I'm gonna put it away. I don't think about that stuff. Or does it still kind of,
I'm really good at letting that stuff leave when I walk out the door.
That's great.
I'm really good about that.
It's awesome.
I don't think I was good at it
when I was. That's a skill.
It's a skill, and it definitely was something I hardened over time. I don't think it was something I was born with.
For sure.
I have parents who are very, very hardworking, and I watch them just grind.
Yeah.
And I think that that's where I get my work ethic from.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But in terms of that specifically, dude, it's probably from just years of doing security. You get called out your name. I've been in fights. I've you know,
Yeah.
I've had a lot of wild experiences from working security.
Yeah.
And doing that day in, day out, you know, hospitality, hotel hospitality is 24/7, 365.
For sure.
There are no like days off.
Mm-hmm.
So I've worked on my birthday, I've worked on Christmas, Thanksgiving, like it doesn't matter. So doing that for almost a decade, I think that that's where I kind of built that up to where you have to
Yeah.
be able to walk out of the door and
not.
turn it off. Otherwise, I don't want to say it'll kill you, but like otherwise it'll drive you crazy.
Yeah.
And
That's
at a
great.
certain point, I was working salary, which salary is another word for slavery. So like, legitimately, you're always on call.
Yeah.
You're always on call. I mean, 2 o'clock in the
terrible.
morning, the hotel has a smoke alarm go off, I'm getting called. You know, if there's a fight that happened and someone got arrested, I hear about it. So kind of stepping away from that to a platform to where I am clock in, clock out, oh, that's a breeze.
Yeah.
It's a breeze in
it's great.
comparison. So for me, anytime, regardless of the jobs that I just described, I show up, do my best, you bring your best to whatever it is that you're doing, and then you leave.
Yeah.
It has to be like something really jarring for me to carry it away from work.
Yeah.
Because I have so many other things that I have to bring myself to fully.
Sure.
So if I'm gonna bring myself to it fully, I might bring that experience to like put some seasoning on whatever it is that I'm working on. But I do the best I can to not let it weigh me down.
Good. That's honestly like, I can't even say it better. It's like,
It just, I mean, dude, you know how it goes. It'll
sure.
drive you crazy if you don't let that stuff kind of wash off of you.
so
Meditation's big for that
yeah,
too,
for
and just
sure.
kind of like being present, not being too, I don't know, not wallowing in anything too. That's an exercise for life in general, but definitely for us in the service industry.
Do you take like breaks?
Sadly, for me, I feel like the only time, sadly, the only times to me I feel like I take a break is unintentionally because I was too busy with the other. So like if I had like a work day and then like a project for a non-acting class or something else that I had to do, some other obligatory thing that I had to do to where I didn't get to work on the craft today, that's a break in my mind.
Yeah.
Like I genuinely in that moment then didn't get to work on it. And
Yeah.
that's frustrating. That's kind of like disappointing. But I feel, and maybe this is a pressure I put on myself, but I feel like I spent so much time kind of like going through the motions. I spent so much time kind of like getting to this place now.
Mhm.
I'm so driven, like I want there to be more things that I have to do acting wise.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, if I look at my week, like over the next 7 days, I'm like, damn, I only have like one scene study meeting. I have 5 days of working jobs.
Yeah.
That means that there's a lot of opportunity for me to create work for myself, but there's not like real work going on.
Yeah.
That's why I can't wait for
Yeah.
MFA
For sure.
opportunities because I know that that's like 7 days a week I'm going to be working on.
Yeah.
Like that's so exciting to me.
So
or like if I get cast in something, I'm like, what? I get cast in it. This is now my job.
Yeah.
I will now get paid
For sure.
to be obsessed with
So-
this thing.
so
'Cause
it
I'm
seems-
obsessed with it now and it doesn't
Absolutely.
benefit me anything financially, which, you know, is another conversation. That's the starving artist conversation, whatever. But like, that's why I like the idea of getting paid to do the work is so exciting.
So
And
I
especially- I'm sorry,
I can no totally no. I feel like I already see where this is going. Like I think that you don't take a break because you feel like right now you're in the hustle mode. You're like, I need to make this a reality.
go,
so
go.
I don't have time for that. So all you're thinking, living and breathing, just like acting, you know, like just trying to do as much as you can until you get to a point where you're like, all right, now I finally can little rest probably. And even though I don't know where you're at, right?
Yeah.
So, but I can see that now that's how it is right now. You're just consistently doing it, like, which is great. That's like, that's a lot of people need to hear that. That's
to me, it's discipline.
yeah, discipline
Like,
for sure.
I look at it like if I had a fight, right? I got 2 months to get prepared for the fight.
Yeah,
As long as I stay healthy, if I don't get hurt,
yeah,
every day you work on it. And then the fight happens.
yeah,
And win, lose, or draw, fight happens. I don't then go into a bender and start eating shitty food, drinking, not going to training.
Yeah,
no.
yeah.
If I'm healthy, I'm gonna take a couple days and then I'm back at the gym.
yeah,
And you stay ready.
Yeah.
You stay ready so you don't have to get ready. It's a
yeah.
I think that
mental.
I think yeah, man. I think that, you know,
Strength.
certain cliches exist because they're right.
Yeah.
And if you're always kind of working in your preparation, then when the opportunity comes, you're ready.
Yeah.
And for me, someone who is still trying to cut their skin in the game, like I don't have time to take it off. And I also don't feel burdened or belabored by what I'm doing, because for me, I feel invigorated by like, okay, like I'm working at this, without the opportunities. So I can only imagine what happens when the opportunities start to come in. People talk about burnout and all those sorts of things. I ain't encountered it. I don't feel that from it. And if I do, then I don't know, we'll deal with that then.
Yeah.
But if we're talking about like day-to-day intention
Right now,
process, yeah.
That's great. Thank you. That's awesome. Do you have any like mentors that you look up to?
Direct people, you know, as a person who again is new, kind of feels weird to say new.
Yeah,
but
the people there.
acquiring
Yeah.
a community, acquiring this village. I have a few. Like my partner Sophie is inspiring.
Yeah.
Absolutely. My acting advisor, my first acting teacher that I got when I came to the new school, Cecilia Rubino, is incredible.
What's her name again?
Cecilia Rubino.
Okay.
She is the reason I'm applying to MFAs. She's
Awesome.
the reason that I moved to New York for the new school. Sophie as well, but definitely Cecilia was like, you should come here. You should act in person. You should be in New York.
Wow.
You should be at the new school in person.
That's great.
Don't just finish online, et cetera, et cetera.
And a lecturer or?
She's incredible, man. So she is a Yale MFA grad as well.
Mhm.
She went to Yale with the likes of Angela Bassett, Frances
Oh, wow.
McDormand, Rock Dutton. She went to school with a lot of great actors.
Yeah.
And is a great actor herself, an incredible teacher, a lecturer.
Motivator,
at the new
it
school.
seems, too.
Motivator, she's
Yeah.
a muse. I think she's great. And again, like, you know, I may have found my way to applying to MFAs if it wasn't for her. But definitely she's the one that's like, you belong at a place like
Yeah,
Yale.
yeah.
Which, dude, for
That's
me, coming from being a terrible student
Oh yeah, I know.
to then deciding to come back to school and then like falling in love with going back to school and then now being in this place to where like applying for MFAs at a Ivy League school
Yeah.
did not seem, that's science fiction to me, you know? So I'm really grateful for that.
Yeah.
Then people like that I've gotten a chance to work with, a writer that I've gotten to work with back that was a partner with Sophie, Janelle Pearson. She's hilarious and deserves her roses too. I hope that they both get the notoriety that they deserve from the work that they've done and the work that they're going to do. Another talented writer, E.J. Tanner, that went to USC Film School.
Yeah.
He's great. Yeah, those are people that I can think of right off the top of my
Yeah,
head.
all good, yeah. I'm sure there's a lot of people, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people.
Have you ever been like helped donation-wise or like financially by anybody too? Like,
Yeah, I mean, like coming back to school was terrifying to me primarily because of student debt. Like straight up, I didn't acquire any debt the first time around. I was going to a junior college and I was working full time. But coming back to school, moving to New York, going to a true university, that was going to cost me thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
And it took people who have been doing it, have done it, to be like, you're going to be successful, you're going to make that money back, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, I mean, I took a lot of that weight on my own.
Yeah.
Like I work so many jobs and stuff because I also pay for my school.
Yeah.
I pay for rent in New York. And that's just a lot, you know?
Yeah.
That's a lot to take on. And I mean, like family will chip in and throw money my way every once in a while because they want to see me be successful.
but mainly it's like
But
you,
like,
you're.
I mean,
That's incredible.
I think even that, to say that without full acknowledgement is almost rude of me.
Yeah.
Because for anyone to give me anything is a blessing.
Yeah.
You know, because a lot of people are out here doing it 1000% solo dolo, and like respect to them. And I know that I've always worked. I know that I've always kind of like did the best I can to like cut my own, but like I do have familial support, and that's a beautiful thing too.
Yeah, no, that's great. I mean, yeah, every here and there, like people will give for sure. But thank you for clarifying that. That's a lot of people like, you know, it's one of those things that like, yeah, you work hard, and some people are like, oh yeah, people pay for your thing, but like also like, you know, donations, and that's gonna happen. Like people are just gonna give it to you because they know that like you have like rough life or things that you do, and you have good intentions. Like people will help you out, and seeking those things are just like not an embarrassment.
And I'm always so awkward about that because I don't
course.
expect anything to come.
I don't think
my
anybody
way like
is
that.
like.
And then I don't know. Like I almost like I'm in response. I'm just like, what do you want me to do? I'm sorry. Like, why are you giving me this? Like, don't you have
so
bills? Like,
back, like,
yeah, exactly. I know
what do
you
you
have
want
bills
from
and
me?
stuff too. Like, what are you doing? But I mean, gratitude. I guess it's just an opportunity to exercise gratitude. It's like one of those things, like not being able to accept a compliment almost, right? Like, why are you giving me this?
I'm sure you'll get to a point in your life where like you become like, I don't know where the routes can go. You know, like you can be a director at some point and have your own like show or like in theater, and then you got to get even more. Like donation is mainly what you got to make. So it's like you'll learn those steps as ahead. But for now, like I definitely know every artist doesn't come out like, oh, you're paying me to do my art? It's like a weird, like,
it's a weird thing,
feeling.
Man.
Like, people were like, here, make this music. Like, I got $1,000 for making a song. And I was so lowball, but to me, 1,000 was like, oh my God, I can't even believe that it's worth money.
Right.
So it's like,
I think that's why we're not in industries like on the financial side of the world or like sales or something, because I don't have that.
I don't have that either. I feel that. Like,
whatever that is. Like I told you, I kind of got lowballed. Yeah. To be a manager. Like I got lowballed when I came to New York for the job that I'm working. Just because like I asked for a certain amount because I thought that's what I could be making.
Same. I have the same thing.
And they were like, yeah, we'll give you that. And then I come here and I find out people with less experience.
It's terrible.
Like, oh, what the f***?
I know. It's terrible.
So I need a manager.
Same. Yeah. So do you so I heard that you also have like a nonprofit that you do as well.
Yeah.
You want to talk about that too?
Sure. Yeah, I could talk. That could be a whole another episode.
I'll
try not to go too long.
Let's go a quick rundown of that. Again, quick plug, I guess. Yeah.
Quick plug. Essentially, I started a nonprofit with my best friend back home, Jordan.
Okay.
Really, he started it. He's kind of the brain behind it. He started just kind of like taking food to the homeless in Los Angeles. If you've ever heard of Skid Row. It's just an area where the homeless, the houseless, the unhoused, as you know, our terms start to shift and change. Essentially, we know what we're talking about. A disconnected society who, you know, need assistance, and just kind of like on his own started taking food to them one day, and that grew into this bigger thing. I started assisting with him. We used to go down in his Prius and pass out Little Caesars pizzas. What is this? What is it called? Love Movement. LOV Movement. LOV Movement.
LOV.
But it wasn't called anything at first. It was just Jordan driving around.
Yeah, fair.
And it's kind of hard to explain how it worked chronologically. But we started to get a little bit more people paying attention to it in the martial arts community specifically, because he's a fighter, I was a fighter.
Okay.
So people at our gyms started to hear about it. And we posted on social media a little bit. It grew a little bit.
Nice.
Very grassroots. People started donating, wanting to know how they could help, if they could join in on these runs. Then we started taking clothing. Then we started taking water. Now we, you know, this was like 2017. We're 2023 now, man. And, you know, we have dedicated volunteers that go every Sunday. I'm obviously here in New York. This is in Skid Row. Jordan's in and out doing other things for Love Movement. And we have people who, people like Annalise, our Skid Row program director. We have a LOV kitchen that prepares fresh, healthy food on a week-to-week basis. We have intermittent health care that gets provided through doctors that come down, through Bare Truth. Really just like, it's grown into an incredible community. That's the LA part of it. We've also donated to like some underprivileged schools with like extra school supplies and whatnot that we're able to acquire.
Nice.
You know, doing the best that we can with the grassroots organization starting that we have.
And it seems like it goes far too, all the way to like, is it
Kenya? Yeah, so that's all I was going to go to next. So it started with just that, the outreach program that we're doing on Skid Row. And then one day Jordan went to Kenya on a completely non-Love Movement oriented trip, visited there, and while moving around in the Nakuru area of Kenya, he came across a community that's literally built into the dump, for lack of a better term, of the Nakuru community. And at the time, roughly like 120 families or so, over 200 kids were living in this area. Jordan came back home and expressed what he saw, and he was like, we have to do something. it started out by acquiring donations to start with fresh water. Got fresh water, got tanks for the fresh water to hold. He was able to cultivate a program to where we started doing fresh produce.
Oh, wow.
So now there's fresh produce and fresh water that are being delivered to these areas. It's hard. We've had many conversations about it. Like, when did we talk about this or how did it happen?
Yeah.
But legitimately, it was all a dream. The Biggie line, we always joke about it, referencing it, because we're just like, it would be cool if we could build a school.
Nice.
I've explained before, I used to coach martial arts. I used to work with kids. He's always worked with, loved kids. And, you know, these kids, what kind of opportunities do they have there? You know, they are living in a dump site. What do they have, you know? And if you can provide an opportunity, then like, what does that look like? So we're like, it'd be great if we could like relocate them and build a school. Jordan, sorry, I get emotional about this.
All good.
Jordan met this incredible man named Anthony Njogi, who is a pastor in Kenya and is kind of like our liaison, our director for the Kenya side of our business, our work. And he helped Jordan find about 7 acres of land. Helped us with all of our dealings with the Kenyan government. And, you know, through some big donations and through just a beautiful community around what we're trying to do, we were able to acquire those 7 acres of land for the kids, acquire the materials to build a school, dig a well, start cultivating crops. And now we have nearly 10 students that live on the property, about 30 students that we educate, multiple full-time staff members, and you know, we're looking to grow more. We're working on our second adaptation for more housing, and you know, trying to raise more money to get more land and continue to grow this thing. Ascend Education Ecosystem, it's a subsidiary of Love Movement, and the Mark E. Sanders Education Program. Austin Sanders was a big benefactor to us, and thank you for, you know, that was a massive donation that assisted us and continues to assist us in providing for this community in Solai, Kenya. So Nakuru, Solai, about 45 minutes apart. You know, it's a drive from there, and you know, the intention is to continue to help that community. It would be beautiful if we could relocate the entire community and get X number of more acres, and you know, continue to use the crops that we have there to feed the students,
that's very
and
beautiful.
also take those crops to market, and you know, et cetera, man.
Well, that's awesome. I hope
that's
people
part
go
of my
check that
purpose,
out.
and I can see how that can continue to grow if my acting can continue to grow.
For
and
sure.
just that's why I say when I talk about the path, I see it all in front of me. So.
And where can you find it? Is like a website too on there?
The website is LVMT. MVMT, Love Movement.
We'll put it in the description.
Yeah, we'll put it in the description. But
so
Love Movement,
figure it out.
Lovemovement.com, and then at Love Movement and at Ascend Education Ecosystem.
Is there like an Instagram too?
Instagram,
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. We'll pop it up here and
cool.
and we'll see that.
Here.
Yeah.
On the screen.
Yeah. We always do that.
Right.
Cool.
Yeah, man.
Thank you. Thank you for
absolutely.
sharing that. That's really important. I feel like
shout out to
giving
Jordan.
back.
Shout out to everyone that has helped turn Love Movement into what it is, man. Thank you.
Oh yeah. Going back to the so do you have anything online that you have, like movies or whatever, like shows that you've had?
Also shout out to the ladies, the beautifully talented ladies of No Chill. My first opportunity to do some acting was on the season finale of their first season. Go watch No Chill. I think it's hilarious. I think that it deserves its flowers. I think that they should, you know, be a full-blown show.
Okay,
you know?
yeah.
It's a web series. They have 2 seasons up on YouTube.
Oh, it's on YouTube. Okay.
It's on YouTube. Yeah.
Can we show them a clip? Is that okay?
Oh, I would love
clip
that.
of it?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right,
We're gonna
so
put
right
that in
now.
here somewhere.
I like peanut butter as well.
You ever take your toast and then put the peanut butter on top and then put a little bit of honey?
No, that's disgusting. How many times have you done anal? Okay.
Actually, only do anal.
Oh, wow, that was a great clip.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's been a few years. They're working on something now. I'm probably not even supposed to talk about that.
Don't worry about it.
But I mean, that's 2 seasons there of really, to me, quality comedy. by two really talented ladies. And
Do you have any
some
other?
of the other stuff that I have is not on YouTube, but shout out to EJ Tanner, who wrote a, to me, really powerful short film that I was in about, interactions with law enforcement in Los Angeles as a black man. And then that's really it, man.
Yeah.
There's a couple commercials and stuff like
That's
that
awesome.
that are out there. But that's it, looking for the next opportunity.
Sweet. It's going to be a rapid fire thing.
Yeah, sure.
So it's a rapid fire. Basically, if you had ways to go back into the past and tell yourself,
No, I'm just kidding.
I know, right? What would you tell them? What would you
Ways
advise them? Or
How old?
we're going to go like any year,
age?
any young age where you feel like appropriately. Hey, I don't know when.
I don't know, man. Honestly, like, be you. Like, be you. I spent so much time people pleasing
Yeah.
growing up. And this is not to be hard on my parents at all, because they were always moving around with the best interest
Yeah.
for me and my brother and trying to like provide.
Yeah.
But moving around as a kid, I found myself always like seeking out friendship and
Yeah.
like doing anything that you could to like be liked and be a friend and whatnot. But you lose yourself when you do that. And a lot of this process, really like these last 10 years, is just like getting back to me and finding who I am. And that's so valuable.
Yeah.
And if I could tell that little kid anything, it's just like you are enough. Like you're dope. Like
Yeah.
just invest in you.
For sure.
That would be enough. And we'd be right here still.
Yeah.
I feel like we'd be right here
Awesome.
still.
And
Maybe a little earlier.
if you had a choice of somebody giving you an item to add on to your resource, what would you have right now?
Any item that I could add on to my life right now to help me with my art.
Yeah,
Studio.
or like a studio.
If I had
yeah.
like a workspace that I could go to.
A workspace.
I had some friends back home that wanted me to do a podcast, kind of like similar to this one, and they wanted me to call in. And, it's 9 o'clock in LA, but it's midnight here.
Oh, yeah.
And like, it's hard to do that in a 1-bedroom apartment. And that's like, I'd love like a workspace where I can go and be up at whatever hours I need to be up to do this thing, because it's a shared space. And that's no slight on my partner or whatever. You deserve to rest.
For
we
sure.
also
Yeah,
deserve a
it's hard.
workspace. Also, to all the casting directors out there that are sending out these self-tapes, like, New York apartments are small, man. So they want you to do like a full body shot or something in some of these spaces.
Yeah.
Good luck getting those elements to work.
Yeah.
I can't put my camera far enough back because my
Exactly.
wall's not far
Yeah,
enough back.
yeah, fair.
So yeah, I think I have enough of the tools between like green screens and
Yeah,
ring
yeah.
lights and all that stuff, but like
But a studio,
a creative
yeah,
space, man.
A creative space.
I miss my friend's creative
Fair.
space that we used to have back
Yeah.
in California. When you're in those spaces, you feel like the things kind of flow out of you
Yeah.
a little bit more when you're in a positive, creative working environment. And I also think it's cool when those things are outside of your residence.
Yeah, for
You
sure.
have a place that you can go to kind of open those things
Yeah,
up.
yeah. That is always a thing that people feel. It always just different when you're in a different space, and it helps you like think better
Yeah.
for some reason. That's
some
the thing.
reason.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
going outside or something.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's another question. Basically, if you had like 10 grand right now that was given to you, what would you do with that money to work on your art specifically?
Ooh, to work on my art.
Yeah, not specifically.
Right.
It has to be like, or if it generates things that like helps
I
your
know.
lifestyle.
I'm just trying to think. Like, I probably would quit my job.
Quit your job, 10 grand.
I probably like not quit it like permanently, but it being January, and I know I have a semester ahead of me.
Yeah.
I could probably just use that time to now.
So money
do
for
other
time,
things.
exchange of time.
Money
So
in exchange of time.
For
Because
sure.
what do we work these jobs for?
Yeah, for the
we don't work
time.
these jobs because we want to do them for the next 20 years. Work these jobs because we need to pay rent.
yeah,
So that 10 grand right there takes care of rent for the next few months for me.
yeah.
And
So
now
you
I
just
can use
focus
that
on-
time, and maybe I get to go to the gym a little bit more. Maybe
Yeah.
I get to pay for a personal trainer or pay for a nutritionist for the next couple of months, or like now I can build my body different, or I work at a different rate. I can apply that time to other things.
Fair.
Because time is the thing that we can't shift at all. You
Fair.
can't give me 10,000 hours
Yeah.
of like time,
Yeah.
but you can give me $10,000,
Yeah.
and now I don't have to work, X number of hours over the X number of months.
Yeah. Speaking of that, like, yeah, it makes sense because like other people that I asked, like other artists are more like I'll buy this because they need a whatever board and it's expensive. And so
For
actors,
acting, I
I'm
feel
like,
it's not
you
really
really
like
don't have,
that.
you don't have a.
This is the instrument.
Yeah,
you know?
that is the
This is
instrument.
the instrument.
And if anything, like everything kind of is like online or books, library exists.
Or like maybe I would need some of
people.
that money to like pay for time for an acting intensive or whatever. But you know, I have these things. I have a community right now that I get to exercise.
And you go to school
enough
too,
with.
so it's
I
like
go to
you have
school,
all
so,
the resources there.
I probably would use some of that money for tuition.
Yeah, fair. So about relationships,
Yeah.
wise, and like spending time
Yeah.
with people, because that's really important. Like spending time with people and your relationship, obviously. How do you find time for that, like specifically? Like
I think that's hard. I'm not gonna lie. I think it's maybe one of the more difficult things because a lot of the other things we're talking about don't require, like you're not as concerned with how like your job feels about this or how this thing feels like that, but you are concerned about how like people feel about you and time spent. Especially I live with my partner.
Yeah.
So
It's harder.
sometimes you can get into the weeds about time spent or like I make time for this, but I don't make time for that. But you got to try and be as open as you can about communication. And you have to find someone that believes in your purpose and believes in like the way you spend your time and your intention. It's super important. And again, communicate.
Yeah. What about friends? You have like any time for like friends out there, or it's just too much? Not enough time. Yeah.
Here, I don't even have like that many friends.
Yeah.
You know? Like
it's probably a good thing in a way.
Because you know they can pull
you're occupied.
They can pull you into different directions because there's a time requirement there.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I used to talk so much shit about people being bad texters or whatever. Like, bro, I've almost turned into that now because like it does take time to like get back to someone if I'm working on a thing. And yeah, I mean, I make time when I can.
Yeah.
And maybe that's part of why I haven't like grown a big friend group here, because if your lifestyle isn't like in line with what I'm doing, then how are we gonna kick it, you know?
For sure.
Like you and me, we can do this time because this is in line with something that we care about.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
We've done other things to where it's in line because it's something that we both care about.
Yeah.
But like, if you want to meet up and like watch a football game for 3 hours and like get a beer and like, talk shit,
that's
I don't
definitely.
have time, bro.
Yeah,
Like,
the same.
I don't have time.
I can't
really
watch
don't.
a game. It's like I gotta like put it in 2 weeks. Okay, I'll
I can pencil that in.
it out. Yeah, I'll pencil that in. I'll really
Exactly.
make sure that nothing gets in that way. So
Exactly.
it's really unfortunate.
It's weird. It's
sometimes,
unfortunate, but it's. I mean, for me, it's unfortunate, but I feel like it's time well spent.
Yeah, exactly.
And I've done that already.
Yeah.
I've done that already. I've sat around and watched too many games.
Yeah.
already,
I'd rather have like a big event, like a birthday or something that you go
Exactly.
to. Something important, nothing like not small stuff. Small stuff we can do that, but yeah. Cool. You have any advice for like people who are starting out as acting and want to pursue it?
Give it the respect it deserves. That's how I really feel. I think that there's a lot of different ways that you can move in life. And I always go back to intention.
Yeah.
Because without that, I wouldn't have gotten to where I am now. And that intention was like hardened and found through like respect for martial arts. And through that process, I was able to look at life through that.
Yeah.
So I feel like any type of craft, one, you got to look at acting like a craft. It's not like a thing you do. It's, in my personal opinion, it's like, oh, not just because like you're handsome or you're beautiful, you can just show up and like do this thing. Like, no, there's such a responsibility, in my opinion, my belief, to telling people's stories, which is what acting is, in my opinion. You're stepping onto this stage or stepping in front of this camera to show someone this human being, to tell someone this story. It's either someone's words that were written or someone's life that was lived. Both of those things require a lot of respect. Both of those things are gonna take something from you to be able to show it the right way so that someone else can view it and be impacted. So give it that respect.
That's great. I like that. That's it's very good for the audience. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, man. I mean, there's a million ways to do it. Art is subjective. But to me, that's why I love it. That's what brings us to the theater. That's what brings us to, spend how much on all these different streaming platforms and shit. Like, there's a reason, You want to relate to that thing that's on the screen. Well, there's a way to get to doing that.
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Like when you were feeling like earlier in high school, like do you think it would be differently like if you had advice or maybe you were in it earlier? Like
I don't know, man. Again, shout out to Cecilia. You know, I carried a lot of not anxiety, but like uncertainty with like my age and coming back to school and like, you know, my lack of academic background in the theater and kind of like, how will that work? And she's like, well, one, you have the drive to want to do it now, and that matters. And what you do is you, as a person being present, you can bring all of that stuff that you've lived and experienced with you. That's valuable. And that's shit you can't get in a classroom.
for sure.
So, you know, use it.
Yeah.
Use it.
It seems like a lecturer has really like influenced you a lot, like someone.
That one for sure. But like, bro, I watch so many people speak that I also take like for value as artists, you know? So I will sit and listen to, you know, insert artist podcast or interview or read this text because that to me is getting me closer. It's like touching the void.
Yeah, it drives
you know?
you. Oh, and that speaks about
source. You know?
Speaking about driving, like a question is for you that what gets you into the mood? Do you listen to anything like specific, or a playlist, or radio, or what do you do to get yourself in the mood, like music wise?
To like do the work,
yeah,
the mood.
Yeah.
Like,
do you have
do
you have any like set thing that you do or listen to something?
Nah,
like,
that's interesting.
Yeah. Do you have anything like anthem? Like here we go.
No, I don't know. That's weird. Music is weird to me. I will expressively say that I love music, but I also feel like it's not something that is like a part of my day to day. I have to like be in a certain mood to want to like listen.
Got it.
Almost.
So you don't do that in like, okay, this acting, I need to feel empowered right now. So you're just more like,
not like, okay, I'm gonna put this on. I don't even listen to music when I run.
Because you think it's more like it's too much. Like I need to focus on my thing. So you're just
maybe.
Yeah. It could be. Some people have that. Like some people can't hear like lyrics, or some people only can listen classical. So
I listen to a lot of like non-lyrical music.
Maybe you can try it next time. Like you have a scene that's like, I don't know, being a bad guy and have some like opera in the background. I don't know.
I like that.
You know, get that like vibe.
I've heard of that before too. Like, you know, like how do you attach a theme song to a character? It's never been something I've applied before.
For sure.
But I'll fuck with it. I like that. For sure, because
you gotta try it out. Yeah,
it could be. There could be something there.
Yeah. Maybe you will like enjoy. Like, oh my god, this gets me in the mood way quicker.
Right.
So another thing is that like, what do you do? Beverage of choice that you drink while you're like, you know, doing your thing, acting wise, like coffee, tea, or.
For me, I just try to remember to stay hydrated. So water is really important. I don't know. Coffee in the morning is like a typical thing.
Every day, right?
Most days. And then like if I'm feeling like
just black coffee.
Black coffee, 1 sugar.
Nice.
And then if I'm feeling like any like issues with my voice or anything like that, especially like now. Tea. I do like a peppermint tea with like honey and lemon. That's like my go-to. Yeah.
Sweet. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for
man. Thank you
joining
for this. This is dope.
Stupid Coffee.
Stupid Coffee.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So thank you so much, guys. If you want to find out more about Lance, you can follow his Instagram. I'll have it up here. Links are below. Thank you again. Tune in for next time for another artist. Till next time, guys.
Peace.